for 10:30.
Right, right.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome
Good
to the Real on
afternoon.
Parenting. I am Coach Kiana Shaw,
And I'm therapist Danielle.
and we are adjusting to the time frame.
Right.
Danielle is out of the country, as I like to call it. And
Apparently I am.
it,
Apparently I
it's been a
am.
situation on this here
Man.
day, but it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. So Danielle, it's been a while. How
Yeah.
are you doing? How are you doing, first of all?
I'm all right. I'm all right. I think I do need another cup of Joe, if you will. However, I'm okay.
Listen,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I am
That's
navigating
good.
parenting. I am navigating dating. No, I'm navigating dating apps. That's a whole nother show. We're not gonna talk about that on this show.
It is. It
Just
is.
know that it's some interesting character. We should do a show on it. You know why? Because take me
It's a
out
whole
the
new world.
listen. This dude was like, I don't sign NDAs, and that's exactly why he getting cooked in the group chat right now. Because had I signed that NDA, I wouldn't have said anything. But now I gotta.
Oh goodness,
I'm
that's
gonna have to
funny.
edit that out.
Another show for
Anyway,
another day. But anyways.
all right, what are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about trigger parenting. We've talked about trauma parenting. We're going to
Okay,
talk about trigger parenting. And they kind of share some similarities, but also have a lot of differences. And I think it will be something that a lot of people will kind of have some aha moments,
hmm
whether that's for themselves, hopefully for themselves, and also for the other parent. So,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, so I know when we did the trauma parenting show before, we talked
Hmm.
about quite a few things. We talked about like our responses, when we're parenting out of
Right,
fear. We talked
right.
about like parenting styles and things like that. So give us the overview, because you're the therapist, right? I'm the coach. They might need a therapist. give give the overview of the difference so that we could be really clear.
So the trauma parenting is the parenting from the source of that parent's individual experienced trauma. Typically, it comes from childhood, typically. Um, but sometimes there are some traumas that are experienced as adults, but typically it is that childhood trauma.
Got it.
And if you're wanting specific examples, hey, head on over and watch that, watch that episode. But just to give a snippet in regards
Listen,
to
it's the way you politely say it. We're not going through all that again.
please
We
and thank
we
you.
move it
It was a
forward.
lot of information. It was a lot of information. But the Cliff Note version of it is it's just the aspect of the trauma parenting is that the parent is reactive as a result of their own experienced trauma. Like I
Okay,
said, more
so
than likely as a child.
so then what is trigger parenting?
So trigger parenting is the parent's own emotional stuff. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be trauma, though. There can be aspects of trauma, but it's their own, I would say their, I don't want to say preference, but it's their own emotional stuff. Like for me, whining drives me up the wall.
Okay. Because I was about to say, wait, that sounds similar. But the minute you said whining, I'm like,
Yes.
ah.
Yes. So we all have our own individual things that we don't like, annoys us, irritates us, makes us go from 0 to 1,000 real quick. So with that, and
So
then
it doesn't have to be a
also,
parenting thing. It could be something that's triggered, like, yeah, in that moment by your kid, but it could be triggered by a coworker as well. Because a whiny coworker
yes,
will very much so make me sit back with my what Kayla calls my mean smile.
right. Well, hopefully you're not parenting your coworker, but yes, you can still be
Nah, but I
triggered.
still give them the same smile. I'm giving you an opportunity to reset yourself, is
Your
what
mean
I'm.
smile. But also there's personality characteristics that can be triggering, if you will, for
Hmm.
the parent. There are some parents who are just not clingy people, or they identify certain behaviors to be clingy, and your child may be displaying these behaviors. And of course, you love your child, but you like, get off me, you're touching me, and it is not coming from a mean place, but it's triggering.
Right. Because
I'm not
every
a
parent is not touchy feely. Like there are
right.
times where because I get triggered when Kayla's this close.
That's very
Like if we're
close.
not cuddling, like, on the couch watching a movie, but like she'll come up
Hmm.
to me, like if I'm sitting here in my office and she'll stand right here, right? Like, well,
Hmm.
right here. And I'm
That's
just like,
close.
I go, I need you to 6 feet, no pressure, right? That's a basketball reference.
Yes.
She plays basketball.
Yes.
6 feet, no
Yes.
pressure.
Hmm.
And I don't know why it's triggering to me, but I don't like it. I need now. It could be a hood thing, right? Like,
But it's yeah, because it's the way a Bob is coming real quick. But the personal space is
wait,
violated.
what is coming real quick?
A Bob, a 1 2, I want a Bob. So and then she gonna get you real good because she all up in your space. But
Oh goodness.
maybe it is a hood thing. But I just use it as
FYI, just in
personally.
case, because I don't think we said it. We are two girls from Compton. I don't think we said it this season.
No, I don't think we have either, but I can do that personally, like my personal space. I have really long arms. So if I can touch you with my arm extended, that means you're too close to me for my preference.
Right.
Um, Whereas other people, it's a non-thing. So to get back on track, if you will, but the trigger parenting is just literally that parent's personal dislikes, if you will, that they can do without, that kind of triggers them. So that's
Okay.
that. But then there can be aspects related to trauma that can kind of filter into that, but kind of should just kind of keep it simple and easy to differentiate or separate the two. We're going to keep it like that.
Nice, nice. All right. So what are some of the key differences? Like I get what you're saying, but um it sounds like trigger parenting can more so be activated by like that wide range of emotions or emotional triggers, not exclusively rooted in trauma, is what it sounded like you said. Did I say that right?
Mm, correct. You did.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then I'm
Yes.
just recapping because for my own brain,
Yes.
right? And then trauma parenting is specifically related to their past trauma experiences,
Yes.
um,
It can be abuse.
helicopter,
It can be
right,
neglect. It can be abandonment, and granted, I don't want to go into all the abuses, so we're just under the umbrella of abuse, all of it,
right, right.
and then also it can just be experiences that occurred during childhood that resulted in that feeling of experiencing a traumatic event. So the trauma parenting is truly rooted in the aspect of that parents experienced trauma way before they were a parent. It was during their childhood, it was during their prior to becoming a parent whatsoever. So it's kind of like their inner child is not healed, which is a result of how they're trauma responding in trauma parenting to their child,
Okay. So I want to
current
get into
child,
like how
physical
that.
child that's here.
Right, I get it. I get it. I want to get into how that impacts the kids. Like, I want to get into some examples because I think that when we hear these terms, people run with them, and so now we got overused terms like narcissistic,
Yes.
right? Like, I'm like,
Hmm.
if y'all don't get the what is it, the DSM or something, like somebody
Correct, correct. Yes,
get
you've
the
been doing your
actual
work. Yes,
manual, read
DSM,
it, and
correct.
then start diagnosing your significant other or your ex, right? But like, good Lord, can y'all stop saying that these people have all this
Yes.
stuff. So let's give some more examples.
Okay.
So I would say my trigger parenting, like I maybe it's not trigger. You tell me. So I have this thing when we were growing up. Like my mom was like every day, it was like clean, 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 and it just never felt like it was good enough. Nothing we did. Like my dad would come in the house, be like, "Good job." My mom be like, "What the hell?" Like we would just be like,
Right.
Daddy said we did fine,
Right.
right?
Right.
And
Like your
so
daddy don't know nothing. But anyways, go ahead. That was my
right,
flashback. Go
right,
ahead.
because mothers tend to go, fathers have no idea about such things, right? Now, Kayla at her dad's house, her dad is very military style, right? So he
Okay, so
like
very
everything
structured.
has to be structured
Hmm.
and cleaned. And so she's like, she can't take out two things at a time. It's like, no, play with that.
Mm,
And I that's never been good for me, right? Like I'm
okay.
always the person that has like several things out because one thing reminds me of something else that I want to do later. Like I
Okay.
might have a bunch of things. I got 30 tabs open right now, right?
Oh, it's okay. I do as well. I got 50. Okay.
And then when it comes to her room, I try to remember like, okay, I want the living room, kitchen, dining room, I want all that clean. Your room is your personal space. So my adjustment, right, is
Okay.
so long as if something happens, I can save you. Right? If there's
And
an
that's where that trauma
earthquake,
parenting comes in, but go ahead.
if there's an earthquake, if there is a fire, I need to be able because her room is the fire escape, right? So it's like I need to be able to, throw this ladder out, and I don't want to fall trying to do it. So I don't mind if your room
Right.
is messy, but not to the point where like, I'm gonna break my ankle stepping on a pillow that shouldn't be on the floor. Because why is the pillow on the floor? But you
Right,
know what I mean? Like
right,
our face go on the
right.
pillows. Don't put them on the floor. So
Right.
it's
That
things
was
like that.
my fault. But
Right. So I'm very particular about like being strict about like just the rest of the house got to be clean though. Your room, I'll give you a little bit of leeway, but like there's only so much, right? Like and then at a certain time, I go in the room and I go, I can't take it anymore. Clean this up, right? And
Okay.
so
Okay.
I don't know, is that trauma or is that trigger?
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest, because
Okay.
there's the foundation, if you will. Okay, there's your personal preference, which will be just more the trigger aspect, um, and it is how you function. And that I'm not going to give you therapy this time, but not that it's a bad thing,
Right.
but but we all have our own preference on how we do things, and
Mhm.
how we do things is rooted from our childhood.
Okay, now
It's
listen,
still it's
because this is the real on parenting. I'm gonna let you keep talking while I go and grab the paper towel roll that the dog is playing with because there's paper towels all over the place. That's gonna tear
because
me up.
it's the real on parenting.
Because it's so I'm gonna mute myself so I can yell at my dog in peace without PETA and all the dog lovers coming after me. But keep talking.
Right. And you all said so, but also a lot of how we parent is rooted from our childhood. A lot of our personal preferences and what you're going to see and probably notice and probably think about may not necessarily be your personal preference. It was influenced by what your experience was as a childhood when you were parented by your parents. So what Coach Kiana is sharing in regards to, she has a minimum of 30 tabs open. She has her options. She has her reminders and she has her options, which is fine. I would say that that's a personal preference. And so, but there, it sounds like there's a cap. There's a cap to where it quickly
There's definitely a
transitions
cap.
from options to overwhelmed, and so within that transition, it sounds like also, I'm gonna put you on blast, not in a bad
Okay.
way. I love you dearly.
That's okay. I
That
can take it. I can take it.
you don't know what that limit is until it happens.
Occasionally,
So
yeah, I can see that because like sometimes I walk in the room and I just go, whoof. And then other times I walk in the room and I'm like, get it together. You're not going to the dance. You're not going to basketball practice.
and that's that reactive part. Yeah, that's
And it might be the
everything is
same
shut
mess from
down.
one day to the next. But one day I can handle it.
Exactly.
The next day I absolutely cannot.
Exactly. Exactly. And so and that kind of leads into something else that we're going to be discussing, because it's like that's confusing as hell to the kids. It was like yesterday, this is the same mess 2 days ago, and all of a sudden you responded like this. Well, of course they cannot say that. However, and if they do, there's a whole nother problem. That's a whole nother topic.
Right.
But
Because Kayla goes, I know. Because she can't tell you the two words she really want to say. Shut up. Shut up.
at least you got the right translation, Mama. Okay, you got the
Listen.
two-word syllable. Okay, but with that, it is very confusing to the child because they're trying to figure out what are their limits, what are their
Right.
your expectation of them, so they can respond accordingly to a certain extent. Kids will be kids, but however, just in general, for the sake of what we're speaking about.
Right.
So, and then also what's going on in your personal life. how your
Mm-hmm.
work day went. All those things contribute and influence your emotional threshold in that moment.
Got it.
So,
Okay.
hopefully that answers the question, but it's not a one-sided kind of answer.
Okay.
It's very impacted and influenced by many factors.
All right. So, all right, let's give another example. Like I'm loving this.
Okay, I would say for me, so this would be in regard that I would say this would be trauma parenting. I'm working on it. So, my mom is a Virgo. And with that being said, she likes things a certain way. She ain't never been in no armed forces, no boot camp, no militant, nothing, but you would think that she had. However, um, so when it came to like the toilet tissue, it had to be on the roll a certain way. I didn't understand that there was a
Over and not
certain
under.
way. But as I got older, I understood it when I was on my own and it was just me, so I just did it. I have a
Mm.
family now. And as you delegate chores that are age appropriate, all those things, it's like, why is tissue roll going down? You want that on your twat? I don't want no tissue heading towards the floor on my twat. So, and how many times do I have to restate this? So granted, the responses to this ranges from being very calm because this is not new information. We've had this conversation many a times to snatching the toilet tissue roll off the doggone roll and
So
doing
do
it.
you put
Even
it over or under?
over. It goes over.
Thank you.
It
So
goes
just in
over,
case
by the
somebody's
way.
having that debate in their mind and they need to over is the
When it
only
does
way.
matter, it's over. Because, some rolls kind of turn on their own and they just be going. And you look up and you just got toilet tissue on the floor. That's nasty. I don't care how clean your house is.
But not only
Mm-mm.
that, but if you have a decoration on it, you're supposed to be able
Oh
to
my
see the
God.
decoration at all times. So
I didn't
over,
know. I don't
over.
have decorations for my
Well, okay, but I mean, even if you have,
What
just
decorations?
plain toilet paper, like if there was a decoration on it, it would need to come over. So if I'm at your house, I'm flipping your toilet paper,
Are you talking
and
about
I
the
don't feel bad
imprint?
about it. Yes, it's supposed to be able
Oh,
to
okay.
see at all
Okay. I will.
times.
No, I always change it. When I go to people's house, I just change it. I clearly know they clearly don't know the difference
And they
anyway, but
probably
I change
fussing
it.
at their kids like, I told you it go under. Like we over there starting stuff. We
That
just
is too
creating
funny.
problems.
But even though obviously something that's very minimal, however, depending on my day and whatever encounters I became, in my emotional threshold,
Mhm.
my daughter may get my responses may be totally, totally different. So, but other examples in regards to trigger
Mhm.
parenting can literally be your child's temperament, their own personality. Granted, we know you love them dearly.
Mhm.
However, they may be meek and mild, and you're not meek
Right.
and mild.
Right.
You two toes, I mean, two toes down. Hopefully, you have all 10. Don't disrespect if you don't.
But for those who
No
do only have
disrespect.
two, we
Hey,
from two
you
to
hold it
ten, two
down.
to ten toes down.
Right. Anyway.
Somebody gonna write us.
But where you take things head on, you address it as it is, that may not be your child. And that in itself is an ongoing trigger for you personally. Granted, it
Right.
may it may make you think of other people. However, that's a personal thing. And when you have
Mm.
parents who are reacting to their meek and mild child as if something's wrong with them, you need to bring it back. You really, really need to kind of just do that self check. And that self check really can be asking yourself, what is it about what my child did or said or does? Are you have something to share? Because you're over there giggling. You having
Listen,
having a moment. Over there having a
listen,
moment.
because your mother reminded me of this, what, 2 weeks
Okay.
ago. So because Kayla was overwhelmed, right? She had missed the day of school. And so she's like trying to make up her computer
Mm-hmm.
science homework. And I don't know it, right? And so like I pay your mom to tutor her. She
Mm-hmm.
has another tutor she tutors with regularly. But when she's not available, I'm like, Miss Donna, right? So
Right,
shout
right,
out to
right.
Miss Diane. Both amazing Black women engineers that tutor kids, and I absolutely love
Yes.
them. So
Yes.
she's like having a hard time. Miss Diane is not available. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Go ahead and just pause. Because like her emotions are like, because she's a perfectionist and
Big.
she's not used to losing. So when she
Mm-hmm.
does, she doesn't handle it well, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
even in
Mm-hmm.
Uno, we could have the same reaction with Uno. It's
A loss is a
like,
loss, okay?
listen, and listen, because I know that I can only beat her for so long. She take all the L's with me. All right, like I'm not letting you win at nothing. Okay, so let me come back. So she's like talking, but like she's not yelling at me, but her emotions are stirred.
Yes.
So her voice is louder because she's like
Mm-hmm.
it's part of the decompression. You understand what I'm saying? As you're
Yeah,
getting ready to
yeah.
cry, you do get louder.
Right, right.
I recognize that.
Okay.
But I was triggered by her voice going up.
Okay.
And so I hit her with the mean smile. I said, Kayla, I understand that you're frustrated. Go take a shower and calm yourself. Because if you raise your voice at me again, you're going to be speechless for the rest of your life. I was not trying to threaten my child. I was trying to get her to understand that this is not okay. She wasn't
Right.
yelling though. Her voice did go up, but she wasn't yelling at me. She wasn't
Yes.
fussing.
This is it's the
But
octave.
now my emotions are not matching hers. And I can say this as a parent, I can say, like, hey, sometimes I can't, like, it don't always work. Like, all the techniques
Yeah,
that I have do not
sure.
always
I
work. With
agree. I
her, with the
agree.
people that I coach on a regular basis in the training and development company,
Mhm.
sometimes
Yes.
this smile is the grace. This is all the grace you
Right.
get. After this, we next level, next level parenting, next level coaching, next level training, right? Everybody about to meet they match with me. But I called your mom and I was like, Donna, Kayla's tripping. She's upset. She's upset. And as her mother, I understand and I'm reaching out to you for help. But please know, if you are not available, this could change the trajectory of her life, of our relationship, because I'm having a bad day of my own.
There you
And I'm having
go.
a lot going
Right.
on by myself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I get as a parent, I'm supposed to be
Because
able
yes,
to deal
to
with my
keep you.
child and whatever they're going
Mm-hmm.
through in addition to my
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But today I'm in overwhelm. And because I'm in
Mm-hmm.
overwhelm,
Right.
I don't have it in me. So I need your
Right.
help. And she was like,
Mm-hmm.
I will be home in 5 minutes. Can she be on in
Mm-hmm.
10? Honey, the way I yelled into that shower, hurry up, Miss Donna, go help.
Sound like drill sergeant.
Listen,
And you better be
I
dried off, moisturized, have everything on accordingly.
listen because you don't need to be dry to get on tutoring. Like, just put your pajamas on. They gonna stick to your body. You gonna be fine. Honey, I needed some peace. And honey, I closed that door and grabbed my water, turned off the TV, turned off the light, and I sat in the dark and just drank my
Yes, yes,
water.
all.
Now I don't know if
Yes,
that's
yes.
trigger parenting or trauma parenting, but let me tell you something. What I do
No,
know is that I am grateful for Miss Donna coming in and saving her because otherwise I would have had to call my mother to come save her. Somebody had to save her. I did not have it in me. Okay. So there's that.
yes. Well, I'm glad you have that village and support, because we all need it. We all have those, we all have our own emotional threshold, which changes
Absolutely.
daily throughout the day. And one just knowing that and understanding that and knowing that it's okay. However, you need to adjust accordingly. So with that, your communications need to change. So when I'm at my limit or I know I'm close to it, and I'm very aware of my emotions, I let my child know, honey, mama ain't got it today. So there's no repeating myself. all the detailed conversations, explanations, reference the past 10 years, like
Yes.
all of it. Because anything that needs to be addressed in a parent form that has already been addressed, guess what? It's going to be Tasmanian devil. Because that's what I got today. Okay. So from there, you choose what you're gonna do. You just know what you're gonna get. That's how I
Yeah.
communicate in mine. But with that, like you mentioned, and like I had referenced before, there's so many influencing factors. So within our trigger parenting, there can be aspects of trauma that can trickle into that. But the trigger parenting is not the source, and trying to keep it as clear as possible, but it's not the source. It can be an aspect and it can have an influence. But like you mentioned in regards to Kayla's emotions were getting riled up, and with as a parent by now, I would say you should know, but if you don't know, I want you just to think of all your children, if you have more than one, or your child. And what are 4 things that drive you up the wall?
Wait,
I'm
it
pretty sure
broke
you can
up.
name more than
Say,
4.
ask the question again.
Oh, what are 4 things that drives you up the wall related to your child?
Oh, you asking me specifically? Let's
No,
see.
no. I'm
Oh,
you can
listen.
answer.
I was like, let me.
I was talking to the people, and
Okay.
again, so you may be able to think of being more than 3 or 4, but those things with the information that we talked about, the trigger parenting, trauma parenting, I want you to figure out which one is which. Because within that, there's work as a parent, but as an individual that you need to do. I'm not saying that you're not to have a certain feeling, because you feel what you feel.
Right.
What you do, how you respond versus react. Now
Yes.
that's where the work needs to come in.
Right. And I
So
definitely recognize that, as her parent, I do have to correct my behavior, right? Like in the moment,
right,
so I'm big on
right.
apologizing. I know a lot of parents don't feel like you should apologize to your kid.
I
That don't
apologize.
work in my household. I apologize because I understand that my child is a person, in the same way I would want somebody to apologize for, being emotional or
Right.
reactive with me. I do that with her. That being said, sometimes I don't get it right. And in the moment, it's like, okay, I should have said that different. Or in the moment, I said what I said, right? And then I have to go
Right,
back and
right.
apologize.
Back, exactly.
And it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
easy. It's really
No,
not,
it's not.
and she'll say, thank you for apologizing. I go, don't I always
Right.
apologize when I'm wrong? And recently she said, no. I said, Kayla, let's go back. Like, when have I been wrong? Okay, so you thought I was wrong. That ain't the same as me knowing I'm wrong.
What's that? And how do you expect her to have this list? Like, hold on, let me pull out my list. And girl, anyways, leave my niece alone. So
We had to get that straight. So just because you think I'm wrong, don't mean I'm wrong. Sometimes, you may think I'm wrong in how I express it or whatever. And I get that. So I can apologize for
right,
how I made you feel, but not necessarily for my statement or whatever. She don't get in that
right.
much trouble, y'all. Because she don't give me any
No,
she
she
really doesn't
does.
give me any problems. But good
Right.
Lord. Sometimes I just be like,
So the navigation of the pubescent emotions is a lot. It's a lot. That's a whole nother series,
that's
girl.
triggering. That's
It's a
triggering for
whole
me. Pubescent emotions is very, because how did
it's
we
a
get
lot.
here? How did
Girl,
we
it's a
get
lot.
here?
It's a lot. Yes. I think that should be a whole nother topic. That's a lot. But anyways,
And
and
that
especially if
matching my
you
menopause is
I was
okay. I'm
girl,
sorry.
girl.
See, now that's triggering. Menopause is okay. That's another show. But can we talk? Can we
The
do a show on
Perry.
menopause?
Ooh, I think we have to. Girl, I think that's gonna be a bunch of rambling because we're gonna be sharing too many examples. I got too many fresh examples. There's one right now. So, girl. But anyways, but with that, going back to the work of the parent. So, irregardless if it's trauma parenting, that on how you're reacting to your child, or trigger parenting, there is that space that you as the parent need to self-reflect. You need to ask yourself, why is this behavior, well, let me back up. What feeling am I feeling or experiencing as a result of this behavior? And start with that. And then from that feeling, you need to ask yourself, when have I felt this feeling before? And it can just be before in the past, prior to childhood, if if you can reference that. And then the work that needs to be done is in the moment, because if it's your child's behavior, they're going to do it again. That's one thing they're
Right.
going to do. They're going to
Right.
do it
Because
again
they're
over and
kids.
over.
Yeah.
Right. And how you respond to that makes a major difference. So let me bring it to this, because I'm kind of jumping all over the place. How you react versus how do you respond to your child truly impacts the parent-child relationship,
Yes.
especially as they get older, because they have, I call it, more complete synthesis, if you will. In
Right.
addition to the fact of they're more aware, they're more insightful in regards to certain things versus just feeling mommy or daddy's right because they're adults. No, 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 no. They're more insightful. So they know when, oh, mama tripping, daddy tripping.
Right.
They know, they're able to put that together in regards to basically the translation of that is that your reaction to what occurred does not match.
Right. Right.
And the last thing that you want to do is having to rekindle a relationship with your child because of
Right.
your mess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that, when we launch our mommy mentoring, not that we're leaving dads out, it's just that we ain't dads. Okay. So when we
Right.
launch our mommy mentoring, that's gonna be like a major point focus. Just one, the honesty of our triggers, and then two, how we're handling it, how we can get ahead of it and do preventative, because sometimes those triggers, they don't necessarily show up in a, you know, your response. I think when we think of trigger and we think of trauma, we think of spankings and beatings, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's that our own anxiety of academic performance. One of my friends was saying that her son was telling her grandson, you better get all A's. Your report card better have all A's. And I was like,
Yeah.
not the kid that believed that D's get degrees. Like, what are we talking about? And I'm like, sometimes it's that, we got in so much trouble for bad grades that we,
Right.
put that pressure on
Yes.
our own kids. Me, on
Yes.
the other hand, I got really good grades, right? Like all through
Mhm.
school, I think I got 2 D's throughout my entire academic life, and I was devastated. I would get like cry over B's. Like that's how important the
Oh.
A's were
Mhm.
to my family, and their praise of me when it came
Right.
to my grades. It was like, oh, she's a straight A
Mhm.
student. I'm mindful of that. I have to keep reminding myself to say to Kayla, I just want you to do your best. You don't have to be an A student, but did you give your best? Right. Because and that, I think, is a trigger for me, but it's just the other way. I'm not going, you better get all A's. But I am
Right.
saying,
Right.
I think that I fall back, and maybe that trigger is good in that sense. Maybe that trigger is creating something positive, because I don't want her stressed out about grades. I do want her
Right.
giving it her best. So it's like, don't tell me you did your best if you was on, Roblox for an hour, like, because you had
Right.
time. You
Right.
had time to study,
Right. And within that, we're giving out various examples, but what you have to take heed to is how is your child responding
Right,
to you? That
right.
is where you will kind of make that determination in regards to, is this actually something that's helpful to this whole situation, or is it a hindrance? So
Mm.
I'll share an example of me. So like I said, my mom's a Virgo, and I'm keep saying that. And so,
See,
she never went to the
I
armed
don't
forces.
believe in the whole science thing, because I'm like, everything you say,
I
every
used to did
scientist
not.
say it. Every science
No,
will
no,
say it.
no.
Like,
There's a
I'm a
difference.
good
There's a
loyal
whole difference.
person, and all the science be like, that's me. So okay, go ahead.
No, 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 no. There's the people who know, they know it's a whole nother level. They not keep saying that she was not involved in any armed forces, just to get clear. But anyway, so
You gonna leave Mama Donna alone?
so with that though, certain things that I did and still do to a certain degree in regards to just prepping for the day. I mean, everybody does this, don't get me wrong, prepping
Hmm.
for the day. But the way in which I was doing it was not helpful nor healthy for my child. I
Ah,
learned real quick that if things were, so if her clothes weren't set out, if her shoes weren't set out, if she wasn't what I call front loaded, so you basically you're giving your child the information of what to expect, blah, 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 blah. She lost it. At 5, she had a total meltdown. And I'm like, what happened? And she was like, and my shirt's not out, and my shoes not out. And did you make breakfast? Well, hold on. Why are you asking me if I make breakfast? Like, what's the wait a
But I
minute.
gotta eat too. I gotta eat too.
And so I had to, because it doesn't come out of nowhere. I was like, okay, that's me.
Okay.
That's me. I gotta back up. I gotta
Right.
back it up
I love
all
the
the way up.
accountability that we take for our parenting, for our whatever our part is. I love that we take that
Yes.
accountability.
Yes. Because it didn't magically appear. You know what I mean? Like it out of
Absolutely not.
nowhere, it derived from somewhere. And so and within that process of backing up, yes, it does rear its ugly head. Because there's aspects of that has been ingrained in
Right.
me to where I'm default functioning.
Mm.
So
I like
I
that
have,
phrase.
yeah, you know how you're just doing it, you're not thinking it, you're just doing it. And I now I'm more aware now of what that looks like and the impact that it has on my family now.
Mm.
But this is years. This is years of understanding, how does this impact my family? How does this impact my relationship with me and my daughter? Um, and from the facial expressions to the body language to the responses back to me. Not that they're rude, but it's like there's certain responses that you get back that is like telling you it's too much.
Right. Right. And
Stop.
I've heard you say, and this is something that
Stop.
I adopted from you, because sometimes our daughters with their personalities and matching our personalities and how they don't function together all the time. I heard you say, you said something, Janelle started to respond, and you said the correct response is yes, mommy. And I was like,
Yes.
oh, that's the one, right?
Because in that moment, any other words, it would have been
Will
a
get
whole
you in
debacle, okay?
trouble. Right? It's
The
like
whole
any other words is defiant, is disrespectful,
because
it's
my
like
threshold is at its cap, okay?
disobedient, like pick a D and roll with it. But at this moment, the correct response is, and you were so calm. You were like, the correct response is yes, mommy. Honey, I adopted that immediately because it stops her in her tracks and it lets her know, like,
Yes.
wait a minute, like anything else is going to be
Yes.
met with a confrontational response.
It's
And
gonna be come with
confrontational
a
does
one,
not have
two.
to be like
So,
to the 10, but
but yes,
but
and
even on
within
a
that,
one, they
it
don't
gives it a
want it.
choice. Yes,
Yes.
you made a conscious choice. So anyway, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But thank you for sharing that. But yeah, so but with that is it, and like I said, it's an ongoing practice, and it's a work of art, if you will. But it's something that consistently has to be worked on. We all have our own things. They just
Yes.
don't up and disappear just because you became a parent.
Absolutely.
So there's things that you actively have to work on as a parent. And depending on what type of day just that you've had determines the level of energy that needs to be put forth on working on that thing.
Absolutely.
Um, so let me ask this: what you kind of actually already shared some of those things because you had mentioned you had turned off all the lights, you had your water, just need to be in peace, just there's no stimulation whatsoever. But what are some things that you have found to be helpful for you when you're at a place of whether that's you've been triggered, whether that's by just personally or you ain't got to tell us what it is, but or it may be related to just trauma in the past. What have
Mhm.
you found to be helpful for you to kind of help you just decompress and get you back to a leveled state to be able to effectively parent?
So there's a couple of things, and I use this personal and professional, right? So
Okay.
there's 6 questions. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? That's the first 3, right? Because sometimes it can be true and necessary, but it's not necessarily kind, or at least the way I know how to say it isn't necessarily
Right.
kind. I got to dial that back. If it's not true, then we don't deal with it no matter what, right? Like it's like we just move
I
on.
agree. Exit out.
Um,
Yes.
it can be true and kind and still not necessary. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
try to ask those questions. If I get a yes for all three, it's an immediate move forward. If I get a yes to true and necessary, or true and kind and necessary, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I look for the variation. If there's a no in
Mm-hmm.
there somewhere, then it's like, hold up, let's pause. And I
Yeah.
try to do
Yes.
that immediately. Then my next three is, does it need to be said? Does it need to be said by me? And does it need to be said by me right now? Because sometimes it needs to be said and by me, but if I cannot say it in a way, and I can't, and listen, because I'm a person, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll knock all this ish over, right? Like
Right. We get the clapping for the extra sound effect and the hand movement suggestions.
right.
This is a problem. It's a problem.
Listen, that
We
hand,
ain't.
that backhand clap is the one. Like if I do this, like but in a professional setting, I have to always be conscious of
Right.
my
Yes.
expressions, my composure. I try to adopt that into my personal life as well, because the people in business that I don't know don't deserve that more than the people that I actually love and communicate
Say
with,
that
right?
again. Say that
Listen, so how we
again.
behave, the same way I would
Yeah.
behave with,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who has the power to take away a contract, I feel it's the same way I should behave with my daughter.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
that's one. So I asked those 6 questions. Another thing is I try to choose my words, not in a way of like not being myself. I try to choose my words because I'm always conscious of how the other person is going to feel. My daughter is no
Mm-hmm.
different. Like,
Right.
can I say this in a way that she receives
Yeah.
it and still feels respected? That's not always easy, because as a parent,
Right.
like growing up, my parents did not do that. You understand what I'm saying?
Girl, I was just about to say that because
My
it's
parents was
like
like, get
how my
this
mama talked
blankety
to
blank.
me, and you better do it even before breathing, before blinking, before any of the next
Listen,
act,
before this piece of lint fall to the ground, you better get it.
before you even thought anything. You should have already been doing it. Like what?
We should bring our
And then
moms on
this,
the show.
whew, girl. So, but I totally agree with that because how you communicate to your child, especially in those intense moments,
Mm-hmm.
makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
And how I communicate with my daughter, even though she doesn't agree, is totally different
The
on
dog listens.
how he agrees. But it's totally different on how I was told to do things.
Yes.
There
Yes.
was no explanation. And I probably and everybody like, yes, girl, there was no explanation, there were no options. It was a statement and a look. And
Absolutely.
after the first statement was already made, then you know it was just a look thereafter. Then you better drop, duck, and roll or something. But like, can you leave my niece dog alone?
Listen, he is just barking for no reason.
I said niece or my nephew. We can't hear him.
Oh,
Is he
well, I
playing
can
with his
hear.
toys?
Yes. And
Okay.
like when I say he been jumping on the couch and everything, like just knowing I'm distracted, like a kid. Listen, if y'all thinking about getting a dog, the dog is another kid. Is like having a toddler. And this
he
dog
knows
is
you can't
very
get to him right
smart.
away.
He is very Danielle. He trained himself to go to the bathroom outside. He opened my bag. If you can open my bag, unzip it. Like he is using his paw to unzip the bag to get bacon. You know how to pee outside. Don't you pee on this floor again. But that's now I am working on using all my techniques when it comes to the dog. Not really though. I'm just like the dog is gonna get how I got. Okay. He not getting the love and respect. I'm
Oh
trying
my
because he's
goodness.
growing on me and I'm
That's
starting to
too
love him.
funny.
But oh, this dog. Okay.
That's
So
too funny.
going back to your question, I also try to make sure that I de-escalate within me first before I take it to my child.
Yes.
I don't want to hurt her feelings. I don't want to crush her spirit at any time.
There you
I
go.
give her
Yes.
a voice,
Yes.
but I'm also very clear with her. So that's the other thing.
Correct.
And being
There's a
able to
difference
do
between
this,
assertive. Mm-hmm.
I had to set boundaries up front. When mommy gives you instructions, follow the instructions. Go do it. Then you can come back to me and tell me, mommy, I didn't think that this was okay. And let me tell you why. And mommy, I feel like this is unfair. But you cannot do that in the moment, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I've given instructions. I'm not going to tell you to do anything that's going to be harmful. Go do what I told you to do.
Right.
And so in the moment, I had to teach Kayla, in the moment when you combat that, it's disrespectful, it's defiant, it's
In the
disobedient.
moment, right.
And so you have
And
to
the key
do
word
it.
is in the moment.
Right. So go do it, then come back to me. Right. And mommy, I just didn't think that this was okay. Like she told me recently, mommy, you're giving me too many instructions at one time. Right.
I've
So if
heard
I'm
that.
like, hey, I need you to do the washing machine and the dryer, right? I load the washing machine. Like, but when she is taking things out, she has to know what goes into the dryer, what doesn't go into the dryer. That's a
Right.
time, right? But we 2 years into this, right? She's 10 years
Right.
old. We start like we
Right.
2 years in. So now I should be able to say, do the washer and the dryer. I want you
That's
to
right.
clean the counters, clear them off, spray them, like. But I also understand that I can only take so many instructions at one time as well. That's why I write everything down. So my kid is going,
Yeah.
Mommy, you're giving me too many
It's
instructions at one
much.
time.
Yeah.
Now, my mother
Yeah.
used to tell me that. You're telling her to do too many things at one time. And I'm like, she got it.
Mm,
She doing it.
mm.
But now as she's getting older, she got other things on her mind. She has school
She
stuff.
does.
She got games,
Yes.
like, right? Like,
Right.
and
Right.
Lord knows it's a boy. Like, that's another show. But like we done came up with a couple of shows. And so he does not have a boyfriend, but there is a boy. I want to
Right.
point that out.
Right.
And then there's the dog, right? So it's a lot going.
Yeah.
He's a little dog,
Right.
he's a dog.
Right.
And so I have to be mindful, like if it doesn't work for her based on what she's saying, not based on what I feel she's capable of, but based on what she's saying, I
Right.
have to go, okay, let me adjust. So now we got a whole chart,
Exactly.
which is a whole nother show. Like the whole cleaning up, there's a full
Mm-hmm.
chart. These are the things
I can
that need to
share
be
mine.
done
Right.
throughout the house.
Daily, weekly, monthly.
Right.
And
And
don't
it
say you
got to
didn't
be
know because
done.
it's written on the board.
It's on the
Right.
board. And look, yours is in yellow. If it's a yellow
Right.
on there and it don't have a check mark, you probably didn't do it. Let's get that
Right.
together. But
And if
not
you
giving
did
her
do it,
so
your bad
many,
because you didn't put the check. But okay, go ahead.
right.
Do it
Because I'm only
again.
checking what got a check on it. So if I see it
Right.
under, okay. So there's that. I think we should wrap this up.
Yes, yes. But within that, there's a part of just as a parent, take accountability.
Yes, because that's the
Part
number
of
one thing.
part of that kind of accountability is acknowledgement,
Yes,
and stating to your child, yes, you stating mommy's response, daddy response wasn't the best
right.
in this situation. And the other aspect is to yourself, as yourself, do I need to work on some unresolved things?
Yes.
Answer's probably yes. Yes, you do.
And some
I
things are
need to
just
work on
daily
some,
stuff. So it's not unresolved. Some things are just your
and
response.
then it can go to daily as well. So it can be arranged. It can be unresolved things and or just daily things. You may need to
Right.
just check out for the day because you had a day, and it's like kitchen is yours, everything you need, you know what the limits are, and that's it. But just the fact of being mindful and aware of that is very, very important. And
Absolutely.
take active efforts to address these things as they happen in real life. And so like
Right.
Coach Kiana has shared different examples. Sometimes you may catch yourself in the moment, you acknowledge it. Sometimes it may be after the fact, but it's still being acknowledged. It
Yes.
makes a big difference because in the end, what you're working towards and working on is creating and keeping a healthy bond and relationship with your children.
Right. And in doing that, please let's normalize checking our egos and apologizing to our kids.
Yes.
Like it takes nothing away from me as a parent or you as a parent, from our audience as a parent to say, you know what? I mommy recognizes that she hurt your feelings and I'm sorry. The end. Don't but don't but. Once you say but,
Right.
my grandfather used to say
Right.
the word but means forget everything I just said. This is what I really feel. So leave the but
Yeah.
out. Not I love
And
you,
however is
but
another one as well. Yes.
yes, that's the workaround. However,
Right.
all right, you
So
guys have caught us on the Real on Parenting. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for keeping us at the number one spot.
yes,
Listen,
we appreciate it. We appreciate
yes,
it.
I am Coach K,
I'm therapist Danielle.
and we are the Real on Parenting. We'll catch you on another episode. Talk to you.